road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead, the road has gone, let others follow it who can. Pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and dead ends meet, and whither then I cannot say. Morning, everyone. Dimitri, Paul, Crawford, Wiley, James, Brad, Aaron, Benjamin, Paul again, different Paul, Aaron, Wayne, Jared, Jeff. How are we all? So as you may have guessed from the title, you guys get to decide what I'm making today, because I didn't actually have a plan for today because I wasn't actually supposed to be streaming, but here we are. So shout your ideas out. I see that Jared already suggested a Brokeback Mountain sax, which isn't really a thing. I'm doing all right, Crawford. Broken back sax, that's two votes for broken back sax. Decrucible that park. Kukri. I've already done a Kukri on a live stream. Hey, Curtis. I don't want to decrucible the puck until I have a plan for it. A multi-bark with broken back sax. I don't have that much time. So 3 hours making me a hotch cut and a guillotine tool. Fair enough. Harpoon Kukri. Make a hacksaw. Dagger. That's 2 for dagger, 2 for broken back sax, and 2 for Kukri. But I'm Sam, I can do it. Yeah, I don't know about that. I am but one single man. Leaf dagger. That's 3 for dagger. 4 for dagger. Seems like dagger's beating out a broken back sax. Hey Vinny, how you going? Oh, God, getting old. Sax is not a dagger. Chef's knife. Yeah, man, definitely appreciating the cooler weather. Technically, sax just means knife, and dagger, in etymological terms, it refers to a double-edged blade. Fillet knife. It is fishing season. Well, I mean, it's always fishing season here in Perth, so. A work in progress sword. All of my swords are work in progress at the moment. Leaf harpoon dagger. I don't think that's even well, I mean, technically, a wheel. Okay, now you're wheelie being silly. Double harpoon leaf dagger. Okay, I'm gonna stop taking your suggestions seriously now. Thank you. Can't do that while it's illegal. There is always tooling to be made. Very true. Okay, so the consensus seems to be dagger. What exactly is interesting, Crawford? Fun fact, I haven't finished a dagger since the 48-hour dagger challenge. Because I've been too busy actually making other stuff. Double harpoon leaf dagger idea. Well, yeah, I mean, technically it would be... So a double harpoon would technically just be a flared point. Running on hate and anger, fair enough. I'm running on sore and tiredness. This is live. Vertical peen rounding hammer. That's not how hammers work. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe I'm just tired. No, not forearms. Back and shoulders mostly, Vinny. Back, shoulders, legs, everything. I've been doing a lot of work recently. Too much work. Didn't I just make a hybrid rounding straight peen? No. No, I've made a couple of straight peen hammers, but they're not rounding. Yes, I have a lapel mic. That's what this is. No, I don't know of any literature on how anvils are used. Nope. No, they're all just flat face and straight peen. The whole idea behind having a peened hammer is normally you have one face to dress and one face to do the peening. And you can't really do a lot of dressing with a rounding hammer. The exception to that is you could almost call this one a rounding straight peen, but this one wasn't me. This was Charming Hollow Forge. But yeah, it's got a quite aggressive dome on the face. It's close to a rounding hammer. Not quite a rounding hammer, but it's close. But unfortunately, it makes it less usable. Thank you, James. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Just an idea of four-sided hammer. Yeah, I've seen it done. I'm not really interested in doing it myself. Yeah, it makes it actually less usable as a hammer. Yeah, lots of claps in the chat for James. Sprinkle Donut Forge is a legend. The reason that this becomes less usable is because if I want to flatten out the peen marks that I've made, I have to change to a different hammer. Yeah. Hey, Matt. How you going? Chaz, middleman. Warhammer. $40K or Age of Sigma? Okay. Not getting stuff done standing around. And yet I'm just going to still stand around because I have no idea what I'm doing. I was asked to make a dagger, however. Do I have a piece of steel? No, I don't. Damn. $95, W2. Yeah. Is this 1084? Yes. Alright, use that. I have to do a bit of squishy squish to get it the right shape. Hey, Shamrock, how you going? Steel toothbrush would really hurt, that's true. I don't even know where that is now, Jared. My workshop has been cleaned up so many times, it's probably gone walkabout. It's not in my cool materials shelf. Might be in the house. Shame it's cold today. No, it's not a shame. Oh, nice. Salem is a master. Hey, Matt. How you going? It's not exactly cold today. It's cool, which is nice. Could be a bit cooler. See you later, Ryan. It depends on what I'm making, Ben. It'll depend on, yeah, what I'm working on. If I'm working on something like a Bowie knife or a chef's knife where I want to get a lot of width, I will start up the bevel and actually pinch out material. If I'm starting on a dagger or something like that, I'll actually forge straight into the edge. So yeah, it really does depend on what blade I'm making. 12 and windy. Fair enough. Yeah, it's like 20, 22 here, and it's a bit breezy. It's downright windy actually, but you know. Thanks, Metal Man. I appreciate it, buddy. Sweating like a glass of iced tea. Well, it's better than snow, I suppose. Morning, Bobby. How you going? Apparently we're making a dagger, so I've been told. I'm just heating up a piece of 6mm 1084, 1/4 inch 2084. I'm going to draw out a piece of it, because at the moment it's 2 inches wide. I don't need it that wide. Oh no, I said the snow word? Yeah, I did. Sorry if I'm a little low energy, guys. I have been non-stop working 12-hour days for the last like 14 in a row. Make it a tiny dagger. Yeah, that's it. I'll make it a baby dagger out of a piece of 2 inch by 6mm. Be the chunkiest tiny dagger ever. Sun is stationed in Alaska at -10 Fahrenheit. Oh, that's nasty. I saw a video the other day of an Antarctic researcher at one of the bases on the South Pole, and it was -86 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Can I speak to the advantage of a belly towards the point of a skinner hunter? So, in skinning knives, the point is less important because you're not doing a lot of stabbing. You want to be able to slice. And having a radius edge means, like having a radius cutting surface, means that you've got a smaller amount of surface contact with the material. What's that in Celsius? I believe it's like -120 something. Ridiculously low. No, it's a little bit less than that. Because -40 Fahrenheit is -40 Celsius. And I'm not sure if it speeds up or slows down in numericals from there. Because Fahrenheit isn't linear. It's stupid. Lots of posts? I only saw one, maybe two. 65, -65, okay. So yeah, pretty freaking cold. So yeah, curved edges on skinners means that you have a low measure of surface contact with the piece. So you've got more pounds per square inch on that cutting edge, so therefore it's going to cut more efficiently. The other thing is, of course, that a straight edged knife will end up having a very sharp point at the end, and that will be the only point of contact, because if you imagine you're trying to get into a cavity and cutting, the only thing you're going to cut with is the tip, whereas with a bellied knife with a nice curve on it, you're going to be cutting with a lot of that edge, and your tip isn't going to score across the skin. And so yeah, it's bellied hunters and stuff like that tend to be better for hunting and stuff like that. That's why the drop point is quite popular. My harpoon points tend to be quite widely bellied at the tip. It's why Green River skinners were quite popular for a long time, is because they've got that really big banana looking shape and they've got that very wide spatulate tip to increase the amount of belly you get. So yeah, that's why. There you go, Mule Kick. Busy week. I wasn't supposed to be live today. I know a couple of you saw a post from me saying that I wasn't going to be going live this morning. So yeah, the original plan was that I was going to be helping a friend move today, but he ended up not needing me for the morning. I'm going to go to his place at about 11:30 to help. Nissa just started. Fair enough. You can jump over there. She's doing her giveaway stream, so. On a straight razor, what are the pros and cons of straight grind versus hollow? So, chisel ground, or flat ground, they're normally called chisel. They're not actually one-sided, but wedge-style razors, the advantage and disadvantages purely comes down to the sharpening. So, you'll notice on hollow ground razors, they have a very thick spine, and then they are hollow quite easily, quite severely. And that is because the spine actually gives you reference for sharpening, right? So when you sharpen a straight razor, the sharpening guide is built into the razor. You actually lay the spine and the edge on the stone to get your angle. It's the same in a wedge style razor, or it should be the same in a wedge style razor. So therefore, there's a lot more surface contact with the stone on a wedge style razor than there is on a hollow ground razor. So it takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more time to properly sharpen a wedge style razor than it does a hollow ground razor, because there's more material you need to remove in order to get a decent sharpen on it. So yeah, that's the only difference. Otherwise, they have exactly the same effect. How you going, Acres? Fancy seeing you here over from Twitch. For anyone who doesn't know, Acres Ridge Forge is a prolific Twitch blacksmith. You should go and check him out at his Twitch channel. And hey, Randy, how you going, man? Your package should be there in a couple of weeks. No worries, Crawford. Always happy to answer questions. No such thing as a stupid one unless you have to ask it more than once. That's the wrong camera. There we go. We're not going to be at Preston very much. Beer time. Fair enough. We're not going to be here for long. We're just got to draw down some materials so I can make this dagger. You got to be slow and patient drawing out wide material that's relatively thin in cross section. Because, yeah, it'll mess up real fast. Oh, fun times, Randy. Yeah, it's always worth a shot. You never know if you don't try. Straight razors are a very easy forging. They're a challenging grind. I mean, if you do a wedge style razor, it's not a challenging grind. You just grind it down to 0 and then go up the crits. The real thing about wedge style razors is that you do not want them convex. They need to be perfectly flat. The reason for that is because it makes it so much more difficult to sharpen if they are convex. And a quick cheat that you can use for sharpening wedge style razors to make it a little easier is put 2 layers of electrical tape over the spine so that the electrical tape lays on the stone, and so that'll raise the angle by, you know, like a couple of seconds. But it'll give you a couple of minutes of angle, but it'll give you a much better, a much smaller surface contact with the stone. It's actually how a lot of people sharpen their hollow ground razors, because they don't want to mar the spine, even though the spine is supposed to be ground down with the edge to give you the same angle all the time. But people like their razors to look pretty, so. The included edge angle on a straight razor should be somewhere around 5 degrees. Plus or minus a few minutes of angle. It was a request. Oh, fair enough. As far as steel goes, go for something that's got a relatively consistent and small grain structure. Something relatively high carbon. I know in smithing circles, the favorites are silver steel and W2, or no, W1, not W2. Silver steel and W1 tend to provide the cleanest edges. You want to avoid stuff like 52-100, D2, any of the high carbide stuff. Anything with a significant alloy content that's going to create carbide segregation, because that's going to cause a sawtooth edge rather than a clean, smooth edge that's not going to grab you. 51 inches in the blanket, there you go. How thick is a razor usually? So it depends on the width of the razor. So a 3/4 inch razor will normally have about a 6mm spine. A 2-inch, an 1.25 inch thick razor, wide razor is going to have like an 8mm spine. The thickness of the spine denotes the edge angle. So basically, the wider the razor, the thicker the spine has to be. But that's not always necessarily true. You can always have a thin spine. It just means that your edge angle is going to be much lower, which means the edge is going to be much finer. Yeah, vanadium steel, 01, 01 silver steel. But what you don't want is a chrome vanadium steel. So you don't want 52-100 or something like that, because of the carbide segregation. Anything with chromium in it's you're gonna have a bad day. Makes good knives, makes terrible razors. I learned that the hard way. You guys will remember, maybe some of you will, I made a Damascus clad Sanmai straight razor, and the core was 52-100. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get that bloody thing to shave properly. Like, it shaves, no problem, but the carbide segregation causes it. Pain in the ass. Baked chicken started to smell spectacular. Nice. Vanadium inhibits carbide forming? Sort of, yeah. Sort of. It increases toughness and wear resistance mildly. Me too. I love Preston. But yeah, normally you want to go for the low alloy stuff or the vanadium steels. So 1095, 1075. Less 1084 because it's fairly high in manganese. Same with W2. That's why you want to go for W1 rather than W2. Seen some good razors made out of 1075. Serrated razor, yeah, no, it sucks.
Which is why you never saw that razor go for sale. It's sitting on my wall of shame. Make a good weapon. Well, yeah, except for the fact that the edge is so thin. You have a bucket of chicken. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I have a shelf full of failed projects, or projects that didn't meet my standards. Preston is indeed the Shitsmiths. That's correct. For 5160's a little bit too low on the carbon scale to actually definitely get a good edge out of it. Bow axle, fair enough. T2 is too high carbide. Hey Joe. Yeah, D2 has really bad carbide segregation, which was what makes it a really good knife steel, because it's, you know, the carbides add to toughness and wear resistance. But they make for a crappy razor. Yeah, 5160 is better for high shock impact environments and where flexibility is more of a concern than edge retention. Like in swords and choppers and buoys and various other things. It wouldn't be my choice for a hunting knife or a straight razor. Yep, all good, Crawford. Like I said, no such thing as stupid questions, just ask them. I feel like I just need a little bit more. So 5160 was doing a case hardening experiment. You have to be really careful not to over carbonize it and become cast iron. That's the one problem with case hardening, is that case hardening normally has to occur to relatively low carbon steels. And I'm not sure how the chromium would go with resisting carbonization, because chromium's a bitch. Yeah, I mean, 5160 is not a bad steel. I use it for a lot of the bigger knives and stuff I make. But when it comes to cutting performance, it's really low on the totem pole. Probably a good idea, Wayne. 51500. W360 is a really good hot working steel. Doesn't make very good knives, apparently. I don't think it would make very good knives either. Incredible hot working steel. Yeah, fair enough. Manganese isn't resistant to carbonization. Chromium is. Yeah, I'm curious about the Magna Cut as well. Interested to see. Apparently, it's supposed to be the 3V killer. I've heard a lot of steels touted as being the 3V killer, and I have yet to see anything that can outperform it regularly. Gamaco are certainly hyping it up a lot. They seem to think they're on a winner. But then again, they're selling it, so they should be hyping it up. Please don't do a video. Which video, Randy? I have no idea what you're talking about. So those of you who follow my Twitch will be happy to know that I'm making another Higarakami with an inlaid frog of the same size. So you guys get to watch me swear about that again. That was Garrett after. Yeah, bearing races are good for making woodworking tools. They've got a very high wear resistance. 52100, which is normally what bearing races are made of, or something similar, is a fantastic woodworking steel. It achieves fine enough edges for woodworking cleanliness, but there's a difference between woodworking cleanliness and not cutting your face to ribbons. How big is my press? About this big. It's a 20 ton. I do love my frogs. Yeah, 25 watching, only 20 likes. That doesn't math. He doesn't want you to do it because I think he's got the idea to do it himself, Jared. Yeah, it's good. The return speed's just as fast as the feed speed, which is great. Them tiny fogs involved curse words, indeed. This time I'll be doing it out of Shibuichi rather than Mokume though. I finally used that Mokume you sent me, Jared. Unfortunately, I did use one of the stacks of coins and failed miserably at making them weld, so I've only got one stack of those coins left. Mokumegane, yes, that is Japanese, although it's Australianized Japanese. Is there a trick to Mokumegane? Yeah, get it hot enough. Hey, first degree, how you going? Really fighting. Have I forged a blade from a round ball bearing? Yes. Yeah, a lot of Farrier's rasps are made of relatively low carbon steel. It's to make them easily resharpenable on buffing wheels. Yeah, I've forged blades from round ball bearings, roller bearings, bearing race, bearing, all kinds of bearings. I get a lot more roller bearings than I do round bearings though. You've been doing some epic work there, first degree. Really been enjoying watching the process, man. Hey Ben, how you going? Oh, sending 3 ball bearings into another dimension. Fair enough. I have this ball bearing, but I use it as a planishing stake for making spoons and stuff. Yeah, welding on a handle is definitely the way to go. But I don't really need to play with ball bearings and stuff anymore because I have access to So I got access to roller bearings like this. Roller bearings like this. and roller bearings like this. Yeah. And I have bearings like this. Bearing race like this and this. And then I have bearing race like this. So I'm not running short of 52-100 anytime soon. Bearings are amazingly hard to move. They are the perpetual bane of my existence. But yeah, I have an entire bucket full of roller bearings. They're homogeneous. Drop it. Yeah, I got all kinds of sizes of stock. I get to play with all the fun things. People keep giving me stuff. Like I have coil springs like this. Coil springs like this. And coil springs like this. And then of course I have coil springs like that. Oh God, I forgot how heavy this thing is. Jesus. Don't ship him any don't ship him any Wayne. I'll ship him some. It'll be cheaper. And so I have leaf springs. You know, your standard leaf spring packet leaf springs. And then, oh God, fucking hell. I've got leaf spring. I don't think it'll fit the camera frame, but it's an inch thick in the middle. Whew. So yeah, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, no, it's off a truck. It's off a Mercedes truck. But you don't want to work 52-100 too hot, otherwise it'll crumble. Yeah, Wiley, send me your address on Facebook and I'll ship you a bag of bearings if you want them. I have more than I know what to do with, so it's no skin off my nose to get rid of a few. Just ask Alex. He's ended up getting a few care packages full of bearings from me. Oh, you're in Arizona. That's right. Sorry, I was thinking of someone else. Maybe you get Wayne to send them to you. Hello, Shadow. Why are you in my shed? Do you want to say hello to the people? Come on, over here, Shadow. You're an idiot. Yeah. Right, out. Hey, Metal Blueberries, how you going, mate? Apparently I just need to spend a day preparing stock. Yeah, Shadow's a good one. Dingo ate your what? You doing okay? Me too. How long of a dagger am I planning? That is assuming I have a plan. Wiley, you have a way higher opinion of my level of preparedness than I do. What is that machine? It is a converted log splitter turned into a forge press. And his name is Preston. Looks like the blade's going to be about 9 inches long once it's done. I didn't even know about that one, Randy. Sorry. Hey, Heavy Forge, how you going? It doesn't take much, just a little welding and some luck. There's a video on my channel of doing an overall rundown on the build. Yeah, the little 8-ton presses are alright. Love where you can see the imprint of the leaf that I forged in my class yesterday. Forging a dagger, yeah, well, it's true. But if you screw up the forging, the grinding gets so much worse. Almost drop forged. One knife you need to make for yourself in Damascus before you can't forge anymore. Why can't you forge anymore? Your wrist's about up. Forge before dagger boils in, yeah, that's what we'll do. But if you want to make it easier on yourself, just don't forge your bevels. Failed carpal tunnel and surgery in both. Yeesh. That sucks. Sorry to hear that, man. On to stock removal. Knife making doesn't end at the forge. And I have not such a low opinion of stock removal as others do. I mean, I joke about it, but I often wonder what would happen. Being a professional bladesmith, you're faced with the potential for your body to fail. Your eyes get blasted with something, or your leg to fall off because of diabetes, in my case. Your ears to get blown out by something. Lose a hand. And you wonder about what you'll do. My mission is to ensure that I have something to do, even if that does befall me. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. How you going, 1,000 hammer? Oh, you like to cure it after you won. Nice. How do you plan for that? Well, only you can know that answer. No one's going to have the answers for you, unfortunately. Much as I wish I had the answers. It'd be nice. Yes, unfortunately so. Or get hit by a trash truck, exactly. There's a reason that Mr. Heights, who is in the chat right now, it was the inspiration of the week on the Forge cast. And that's because anyone else that I can think of, given his severe amount of physical health issues, would be nowhere near as nice or nowhere near as capable as him, because he refuses to let it stop him. Falling mixes are heavier, that's true. Thin annealed pieces. Well, flux is definitely necessary if you're not welding all the seams. Especially as your first attempt. You need to create an oxygen-free environment. So either you create that by welding all the seams up after cleaning the material really thoroughly. I mean, descaling it, grinding it, making it flat. But if you're not doing that, you definitely want to use flux. If Wayne can get up every morning and make stuff, then I don't think that there's anyone out there who can have the excuse not to. Hey, Lauren. Jay, well, dry welding is possible. See, my issue with a lot of the bladesmithing that's going on at the moment is that people are watching guys who've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years, and they're immediately trying to jump in at that level. So unless you know exactly how to control your atmosphere in your forge to a very accurate degree, unless you're cleaning your billets and making them flat as physically possible, you're not going to get a dry weld. You might get it to weld in places, but you're not going to get a dry weld. Oh, there you go, Wayne. That's pretty cool. Yeah, making a dagger. Yeah, Jay fully seals his billet. It's like kerosene. Kerosene acts as a protectant for the billet before it goes into the forge, and then after it's in the forge, it creates a very thin film of carbon. But it will not help you if the atmosphere inside your forge is oxidizing. If you have an oxidizing environment in your forge, then the thin film of carbon will just burn off like that, and you'll end up with nothing. Most dry welding is done by either welding up all the seams or by controlling the atmosphere inside your forge to a very, very high degree. Much higher than I'm willing to go. If I'm going to do dry welds, I'm just going to seal the billet. I don't want to take the risk that I'm going to lose $40 worth of steel. Sure up wet welds. He soaks his billets in kerosene beforehand for the initial welding pass, and then he fluxes afterwards. Yeah, Lauren, it's true. Yeah, Metal Man, we were speaking more in general terms than about specific people. Professional bladesmiths and stuff like that are going to develop new techniques all the time for improving the life of their forges and all that kind of stuff. And that's been going on for ages. Like, you know, the idea of fluxless welding has been around for ages, especially in blacksmithing circles with mild steel and wrought iron. Fluxless welding's been around for centuries. But when it comes to high carbon steels, the oxides that grow on the outside of high carbon steels are so tough and so quick forming that they're very, very hard to account for in a fluxless weld. Bladesmiths in the States have been developing fluxless welding techniques that we see them using today for decades. But it requires a sincere amount of proficiency, and it has a higher failure rate. There is a reason that guys like Kyle Royer, who can't afford the time wasted in losing a billet, seal their billets instead of attempting a kerosene fluxless weld. Also, you'll note that most of the guys that do kerosene fluxless welds have power hammers. And that's because in a press, kerosene fluxless weld doesn't work as well. And by hand, you're dreaming. It's all about the preform. I mean, don't let me dissuade you. I'm in a bad mood this morning because I'm tired, but you want to try it, do it. I ain't gonna stop you. Yeah. Well, if you want to see more of that, James, you can always head on over to my Twitch channel. Cheers, Kenny. Welding 304 stainless 1095, yeah? Again, I'm not going to tell you that you can't do something. Like, again, it's totally possible. I'm not telling you that it can't be done. I'm just telling you that there are better ways. A lot of the guys that do kerosene fluxless welds do it because they can, not because it's the best way to do it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's a great way to show off. It's a great way to show that you are a practiced smith and you have control of your fire and control of the material you're working with. And if you want reliable results, there are tried and true methods. And the best method of forge welding that I've ever come across is to completely clean your surfaces, to grind them perfectly flat, to sandwich them tightly together in a vise, and completely seal it either by putting sheets of metal over it or by completely welding the seams. Hey, Rodney. See you later, Jared. Fair enough, Randy. Well, the inlay that I do, the inlay techniques that I use are all on Ford Hallam's YouTube channel. Ford Hallam Metal Arts. I think he still goes under Ford Hallam Metal Arts, otherwise it might just be Ford Hallam. But he has many detailed videos on various forms of Zorgun, Zorgun is metal inlay. There are 4 different forms. There's 10 Zorgun, which is dot inlay. There is Hon Zorgun, which is what I did for the frog and lily pad on my Higo, which is true inlay. I haven't learned all of the terminology. There's New Norme Zorgun, which is something I plan on doing, which is very similar to Koftgari or Damascening, which I plan to practice very soon. And then you've got Horimono, which is the practice of engraving. Technically, Horimono is the art style. Like if you look up Horimono on Google, you'll come up with a lot of photos of tattoos, because Horimono is an art style in Japan, but it's also refers to the Japanese form of engraving. Sometimes known as what's the word? Never mind, I've forgotten. Speak a different language, that's it. Yep, exactly, and that's exactly how people still weld stainless to carbon now. So aluminium foil wouldn't work because aluminium melts at a much lower temperature than the steel will get to. And any wrapping that you wrap the billet in, like if you were to wrap it in sheet steel, you'd end up welding it to the piece. You could use burned stainless foil, not just straight up stainless foil, because you'll end up welding that to the billet. But Steve Schwartzer, who's a mastersmith of the ABS and has been doing all kinds of weird forge welds for a long time, uses burned steel foil in his canister Damascus to get the billet to not stick. And it seems to be one of the most reliable methods out there for that kind of thing. So yeah, there's that. But the reason that welding the seams is easier is because, you know, most of the time you don't have to wrap stuff. 3-finger knife. No, I've only ever heard of a 5-finger knife, the Cinque Terre. Plistex 900, I haven't heard of that one. No metal, it comes down to the forge build itself. I did a whole stream on forge economy and all that kind of stuff. You might, it depends on what the mold release paint is based on. Basically a neck knife. Oh, okay, yeah, I've made those, plenty of those. Hey Chris, how you going? 3, 2, 1, yeah. He just uses tool wrap, stainless tool wrap, but he burns it beforehand, he heats it so that it oxidizes, because oxidized stainless will not weld. Three fingers on the handle, small knife. Yeah, I've made a few of those. It's a regular Australian suburban distance, but all my neighbors are pretty good. I don't have a neighbor on one side. The lady that lives behind me is deaf, and the lady that lives the other side is a FIFO worker, so she doesn't care. Evening. Chromium carbides for ice service and will not weld. Exactly right. Which is why 52100 and 5160 is such a pain in the ass to weld. They will weld, absolutely, but they are a pain in the ass to do so. Thermogen 60 STF. Yeah, let us know. Yeah, the dreaded black spot. I've mostly done flux welding with mine, which is one of the reasons why I enjoy having my post box, because my web pellets don't end up sitting in a pool of borax. But it does kill your forge floors, that's for sure. Time for beveling. I'm doing a tapered tang, a beveled tang dagger this time. So we're just going to go straight over that tang transition. Oops, missed. Missed again. Good thing my handle's nice and hard, huh? Yeah, precisely, Lauren. Yeah, if you try and weld 5160 to itself, it just doesn't want to do it. And if you try and weld 5160 to 52100, it doesn't weld very well either. I love that. I just, you know, it's like literally there's no dent. In my old anvil, with those misses that I just did, I would be very upset. With this anvil, nothing. As most of you know, I advocate for softer hammers so that you don't damage your anvil. This anvil allows me to use harder hammers than I normally would. Of course, this English cutler is still pretty soft. Yeah, that'd explain it. Welds good to mild steel. Yes, it does. 52100 welds really well to wrought iron, mild steel, and yeah, it welds okay to 15 and 20. Not great, but it's not terrible. And you can get 52100 to weld to itself. You just, it just takes a lot of preparation. You gotta treat it like it's stainless if you want to weld 52100 to itself. Ow. Ah. My arm's so uncoated, Should not be forging daggers. Oh my god, this uncoordinated. It's going to end up a blade-shaped object rather than a blade. Terrible. Need more coffee, yeah. Well, you want to make me one? Wrapped hook with leaf spring, yeah. I prefer to use file, like if you want to use old steel, scrap steel, to weld for your tomahawk bits, use old files. They're normally some form of low alloy high carbon steel like W2, W1, 1095, thereabouts. Unless they're case hardened. Anvil envy. Yeah, I love this thing. This anvil is amazing. The only problem with having such fantastic tools is that I can't blame them when I fuck up. Yeah, so we've got the heel established. We'll just run down the blade. I have a feeling this is going to corkscrew because I am really uncoordinated today. I don't know what is happening. I think my arms are just worn out from all the forging I've done. And draw knifing and running hand planes and spending hours a night engraving. I had a class yesterday and then helped clean the house for a couple hours, and yeah, just a bit worn out. How much LPG does it cost to run a month? I normally go through a bottle every week, so about 80 bucks a month. 4140 is a terrible knife steel. This one's 80 kilo. How's every classes going? Yeah, it's fine. That was the second class I've had this month. Oh, no, actually, in a month. So the last one was last month, technically. And I've got another class, another set of classes in late May. Man that you guys all know. A certain northern pirate is going to be invading my workshop for a couple of classes. Now, see, if this was a customer's knife, I would be stopping right now. I would be putting this aside, heading indoors, doing something else, doing some grinding or something. Because I can feel the lack of coordination in my arm As it is, I don't care if I stuff this up. I'm just doing it for the stream. But yeah. Normally, if you feel that you're uncoordinated, you feel like you're not getting the hits where you want them, stop, do something else for a while, come back to it. Alex the pirate, that's right. Adam the pirate. It's not Alex. Alex is a Norseman. He's not a pirate. I gotta send Adam his hammer. He's one of the guys that bought one of those threaded English cutlers. The other one's going to Mr. Saber Striker, Eduardo. Potato, potato. Steampunk Norseman, that's right. Yeah, fair enough, Aaron. Absolutely, Lauren. Absolutely. Mr. Sol, yeah. He jumped on it real fast. So yeah, these two are already spoken for. Adam bought it before I'd even heat treated them. And Ed bought his before I'd put a handle on it. The side shelf, the scrolling shelf. Yeah, I don't get as much use out of it as you would expect, but I do use it when I'm scrolling things, when I need to work multiple angles. Like you could use it for beveling, like, you know, it's got a very small surface area, so you can do this, and it makes it pretty easy. It's well supported, so I'm not worried about breaking it off. Oops. I just towed the ridge. That's not good. No, well, shit happens. See, on a normal knife, that would mean the end. That would mean, pack up, boys, we're going home. I just put a toe mark in the ridge, which is not good. Unco. See ya, blueberries. Family ship, that's right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you get up with it, Randy. And after having had that apron in my shop for a little bit, I'm looking forward to getting my apron. Pretty high-class piece of work there. Might be able to rescue that towed ridge, but we'll see what happens. Come back over it later. You can do something a little extra. Why? That's when you put in a full. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll have to make a narrow fullering tool and put a fuller down the middle. So to be honest, 90% of the stuff that I make on streams doesn't actually go anywhere. It ends up sitting on a shelf somewhere, rusting away. I've tried selling a couple of things I made on streams and they just don't sell, so I just give it up. You might have done that a few times, yeah. Yeah, horizontal surfaces, they're a killer. Send it to you. Man, you send me the shipping money and I'll send it to you. Whatever. Don't send it to me through Super Chat though, because I'll lose 45% of it to YouTube. You end up paying $120 to make a hammer and send it. Why? You said what? I prefer ground fullers, like grinding fullers, than forging them, because forging them tends to be a little bit less accurate. Well, I did clean it off a little bit in expectation of the class. Yeah, fair enough, James. Okay. Alright, fair enough. I appreciate it greatly. You may actually get yours before Jim the Sharkman gets his. Sadly, I keep forgetting that I even need to etch that thing. Ugh, God, I'm such a terrible person. I keep promising people things and then not delivering. Until much, much, much later on. I managed to dress the hole in my ridge out, so it could still be a ridged dagger. Consider it payback for helping Big Stack. Well, I got sick of seeing him use those crappy 3mm flat stock tongs. Besides, Dion sent me some stuff. I've got the other two in the house, but he did send me some pirate coins. Yeah, shipping. Yar. I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow you will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Hey, what's Ray? How you going? Parlay. Curse the man whoever came up with parlay. I appreciate it, Lauren. Yeah, I keep promising trades and stuff with people, and I'm really putting myself in a position where I can't afford to take the time to make the stuff that I'm supposed to be trading with people. Some days I forget that I'm doing this for a living. Oh, towed the ridge again. Fortunately, there's no ridge there yet, so. I'm finding that, Lauren, I'm finding that. How you going, David? Greetings from Trebill, Brazil. Well, better than nothing, Crawford. It's better. The hammer wasn't bouncing. It's highly distressing. Problem is, Lauren, is I really like to have my stuff go out into the world and have people use it. I like to hear about the things that people get up to with my work. And so I end up falling into the trap of trying to give it away. I always said that if I was a billionaire, I'd still be doing this. I'd just be giving my stuff away rather than selling it. Makes it really hard to be a businessman when you don't want to sell stuff because you don't want to charge people money for what you're making. My wife is constantly on my back about undercharging people for stuff. Over there in Auckland, in New Zealand, not Australia. There are kiss block type tools for hand hammering. They're not great though. Starving artist, yeah, well. Hey, okay, how you going? Potentially, Wayne. The rust monster never rests. True. I have a shelf full of stuff that I'm supposed to be selling, but just sits on a shelf. That shelf grows ever larger. Yeah, they're not very effective, Ben. Unfortunately, jigs for hand hammering aren't always exactly the easiest to use. Yeah, right. Technically, swages are a form of kiss block in blacksmithing. But, yeah. Yeah, I'm really digging that giant tortoise that he's making. As anyone who's on my Twitch chat will know, I have a thing for amphibians. Anyone who follows my Instagram too. Little mermaid stalker. Yeah, Ben, well, I mean, if you develop it, I'm not saying it can't be done. You want to develop one and make it work. I'm too set in my ways to start trying new shit now. Mother fudger. Yeah, I'm an old dog. It is a English cutlass hammer, but yes, basically. How does it compare? It doesn't really compare. like they're chalk and cheese. They're not really exactly the same. It's very, and it's a personal preference thing. They've been used throughout all of Europe and Asia, especially Asia, for centuries. They're especially good for forging on flat stock, like swords and knives. I personally prefer them for doing my beveling. But it comes down to the personal tastes of the user. I can't tell you whether it's good or bad for you. Only you will be able to tell that. As I said, I almost eat it in the face. Yeah, Freak is pretty cool. Yes, they do. One day, James. Yeah, I use balanced hammer for a lot of my work. Specifically at the moment, these two. A diagonal peen by Bob Bew at B&B Forge and a straight peen by Hans at Charming Hollow Forge. They're good for general metal moving. And then when it comes to making blades, out comes my English cutler's hammer, which is my baby. Love my English cutler's hammer. I'm gonna end up having to make a new one soonish. May end up giving this one away. Someone. She's served me faithfully for a number of years now. But I've reground the face a number of times. She's slowly getting thinner, leaner, lighter. Nah, rounding hammers and cross peens are great hammers. Hey Josh, how you going? Yeah, so the advantage of a dog's head hammer is that even if you try and cock it, it just straightens as it falls. I also find that pound for pound, they hit a little harder than their equal-ended compatriots, because they're thrown like a dart rather than driving them. One of the reasons I like English cutlers over standard dog's heads is because the narrowing at the face, whilst also aesthetically pleasing, gives a smaller surface area for the impact, which means that the weight is distributing more pounds per square inch at the face than a standard dog's head. Which is good for metal moving, and it's good for accuracy. The English developed this pattern of hammer specifically after file cutters hammers, because file cutters hammers were found to be very accurate in towards the self strikes like this, because you had to strike the top of a file cutting chisel, which is very, very small compared to the size of the chisel, facing away from you. And so it became very popular. They were also very popular because English cutlers used to use anvils that were at belly button height or higher, and the heads on the original file cutters hammers were very canted. And so you could still swing with a normal hammer swing, but the head would already be in alignment with the anvil. Because this anvil is at a standard blacksmith's height, the face is relatively straight on this hammer. They're only slightly angled. Yes, exactly right. Small area. Work smarter, not harder, that's right. Like a dart, exactly right. Yeah, one of the common things that I see in new, need to be a bit higher. One of the common differences I see, if someone's used to using a European style equal-ended hammer, when they're driving it, they drive it with muscle all the way from up here down to here, right? The muscle is constantly engaged. With a dog's head hammer like this, if you try that, you are going to break your wrist. You need to throw the hammerhead and stop pushing it about here. So it's thrown, and then the rest of it is just the impetus. And that actually adds speed because the muscle isn't tightening to resist the impact. And so you actually end up with more impact than on a dog's head hammer. It's one of the reasons why the Japanese prefer dog's head sledgehammers called mukazuchi, which I also have one of those. Some of you may have seen the video where I made this muko. But yeah, swing's entirely different to a normal hammer. It's a lot of fun though. Yeah, I love my muko. Of course, I don't have anyone to drive it for me anymore. My striker quit, so technically he kind of got fired, but you know. Potatoes, tomatoes. Maybe I can make some mahogany. Bloomery steel. Oh man. Ugh, getting old sucks. Treadle hammer, nice. Yeah, I'd love a treadle hammer. I just don't have the room for one. I would love to make one of the inline versions, like John Switzer's got. But I can't devote the time or energy to making one. Or moolah. I am very low on the moolah. Speaking of hammers, if anyone's interested in getting a hold of a Viking style cross peen that I made. I think I'm gonna host a Instagram auction for it. It's the only one out of the batch that's still available. And I don't want to put it up on Etsy because it'll disappear real fast. Yeah, Lauren, I'm not looking forward to it. Yeah, Clay Spencer, that's the one. Yeah, no, I don't trust my kid to do striking. You got a brain tumor, jeez, man. I'm glad you're okay. Definitely not my cleanest. Not my best work. Man, I can't wait until I have Randy's apron. This apron's killing me. It's a good prognosis, good. Good. That's what you want to hear. Time to redress the profile a little bit. It's looking a little too crisp-like for my taste. Making a dagger. Doesn't really matter what you want to call it. Wayne, at the end of the day, call it what you want to call it. Pattern welded, Damascus, doesn't matter. Most of the time when people make knife fittings, which aren't blades out of Damascus, they call it Damascus, so. It's good enough for Carl Royer, it's good enough for me. Ethics-wise, there is no ethics involved. Ethics doesn't enter into the debate between Damascus and patent welded steel. The only people who grandstand on that stuff are wankers with too much time on their hands. If you'll excuse my French. Patent welded steel has been referred to Damascus since the early 1800s. If they want to appeal to tradition, you can still say Damascus is technically correct. So you tell them to shove it up their butt. Yeah, they're exactly synonymous. That's right. See you later, Tech. See you, Rodney. That's fine, Wayne. Doesn't really matter. It's still Damascus. Fair enough, Lauren. I understand that and I appreciate it. I've heard that opinion expressed a number of times in a number of different ways. And I don't necessarily disagree. I make art knives, but at their heart, I try and make functional art. And so does Kyle, but Kyle's next level. Kyle has reached a level where the function is tertiary to two other points. Nah, not a silly question, Wayne. You're fine. Kyle does knife jewelry. That's correct. Yeah, and you will encounter those people that will argue with you about literally anything, like in the knife making or any other community. You will always find someone who's willing to gainsay you on an opinion. I've had people tell me that the Damascus I make is not real Damascus, and I've even had people correct me that modern created Woots isn't true Woots because we lost the chemical composition of true Woots centuries ago, which is complete crap because we've got metallurgical surveys and laser spectrographs and stuff like that. We know exactly the chemical composition of true Woots because we've tested the number of originals from the very early days of Woots. We know exactly where the ore was mined. We know exactly how the process was done. So anyone who tells you that we lost no one can create real Damascus anymore is completely full of shit. I'm jealous, Lauren. That would have been amazing. All right, okay. Thank you very much, mate. Have a good one. That's right, no such thing as silly questions. We never really lost it, Randy. We weren't looking for it. It wasn't a secret that needed to be discovered until someone wanted to. We could have gone on as humanity without rediscovering it and still have better knives. Like, you know, even the modern recreated Woots still pales in functionality to modern steels, modern high alloy crucible materials. And so therefore the rediscovery of the original chemical composition of Woots didn't benefit us at all. So therefore it wasn't really lost, it was just not there. It's like the myth of Roman concrete. Hey, Matt. Yes, he did. Just ask the 3rd century and you fucking just... man, never change, Josh, never change. Looking kind of dagger-like. I'm going to cut it off and forge the tang out. Pretty much, Lauren. Have to change. Fair enough. You can change your clothes. See you later, Randy. Welcome back, Jared. Just a little, Sam. Yeah. Yeah, there's too many arguments in our community about freaking the most semantic crap. Those who don't know probably won't question. That's true. Yes, it is at last. There's a wonderful cool breeze coming through. You notice I'm not sweating my bollocks off right now. Thanks for the shout, Wayne. Yeah, exactly, Lauren. Like, at the end of the day, they're all at that peak of the Dunning-Kruger chart. They have all of the confidence in the world and none of the knowledge. I try not to state anything as fact unless I absolutely know. Most of the time I will say I have heard or I have experienced or yada yada, because at the end of the day, there is no such thing as absolute certainty unless there is observable evidence that is repeatable. Which is why earlier when we were talking about, you know, like welding fluxlessly and stuff like that, I'm not going to say that it can't be done. I know it can. But, you know, I'm never going to tell you not to try something. If you want to try it, do it. Tell me if it works or not. The only issue I have is a lot of people contact me and they say, hey, do you know if this thing is possible? And then they ask me to do it. And I'm like, I don't want to. Precisely, Lauren. Yeah. The only thing you know for certain is you don't know much. Well, that's it. Hot cut. Where's my hot cut? Where's my hot cut? There it is. Ow. Yo. Put it somewhere where I'm not going to step on it. Bit worn out, Chris, but otherwise okay. You see repeatable in my hammer blows? Yeah, well. And that's true. What is possible for you may not be possible for someone else, or what's possible for them may not be possible for you. I look forward to hearing how you like it, Jared. Well, I mean, you could like etch it, polish it, and then temper it blue. Thanks, guys. Can you see the crack in my camera lens? Come on, Preston, time to work. I don't particularly care about cold shots in the end of the tank. Still going to do the best to avoid them, but, you know, whatever. You can get plum-colored Damascus by nitro bluing. You have a solid place in this community, Metal Man. Always appreciate you in my chat. I actually found out recently that I was talking to Stuart Anthony Smith recently about his 52100 knives, because I noticed that he tempers them to a blue color, and I was like, isn't that a little soft? And then he was like, well, you know, like this is what I've tempered them to all the time, and they always come out really nice. I did a temperature controlled thermal cycle of a polished 5200 knife at 175 degrees Celsius, which is about 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and it turned blue. And I was like, So I have a theory that there is something in the chemical composition of 5100 that makes it turn blue at a much lower temperature than other steels. It's something about the oxidization rate. Maybe one of the alloys in there makes it oxidize faster than others at high temperatures, but it was really interesting. The blade was still sitting at around 62 Rockwell, so you know, like, it definitely wasn't too soft. It's just one of those little quirks of steel. So if you ever want a blue blade, just temper 5200 when it's polished. It's a good way to go, Jared. It's a good way to go. Yeah, well, that's what I'm finding, Lauren. Most carbon steels temper at a similar color at about the similar temperature, but it was the first time I'd ever experienced a steel that colors so deeply at such a low temperature. So thought the actual process of making Damascus changed the color. Yeah. I mean, there's the common misconception that Damascus somehow makes the blade more resilient or, you know, cuts better. Because it's layered, you know, for whatever reason, that makes it somehow superior. And of course, we all know that where that stems from, but so many people hold that opinion. Even people who make Damascus hold that opinion, that it gets a little irritating. Gun blue, yep. Alloys do matter, indeed. Yes, yes it is, Ignis. Yes it is. Technically, if you want it even, you got to soak it in there, and it costs a lot of money to get enough cold blue to make a bath out of. You could always use the Japanese method, James. Sprinkle some water on it and watch how the water reacts. Of course, you need to know what you're looking for. Picky shit when you need to know you're looking for stuff. Yeah, well. It itches. There's an ointment for that. So Randy, I can't remember if I told you, but the hammer I sent you doesn't have welded on faces. I tried welding faces on that hammer that I made for you originally with the mild steel. It just would not weld, whatever I did. Dicam will turn it blue, that's true. There you go, Troy. It's taking this long, hasn't it, Troy? I don't know. I get uncomfortable using people's first names if it's not in their thing. I have to get to know them first. But you've been in enough of my chats that I feel comfortable. You'll take it. There you go, Matt. Well, we're not going to be here for too much longer. We're almost done. Hey Wiley, has the blanket draw been done yet? Who won? They have to kick you out. Fair enough. Sounds like a good time, Troy. Where's my invite? There's a reason I don't keep this in the shop very often. It's because I end up sitting here doing this all day. I have too many big toys that I can play with. You're rocking, Sam. I'm always invited. Kayla won it. Ah, fair enough. Oh, nice. Yes, I miss gatherings. Of course, there are gatherings around, but they're full of people I don't really want to see. Seesaw, seesaw. It's the only thing that rocks that's big enough and thick enough to hold me. It needs to be a gigantic inch-thick freaking truck leaf spring. Yeah, it's a little off center. Not much I can do about it now, sadly. I plan on doing a how to forge video on forging daggers, which will probably be better than this one. Or it will be better than this one, because I'll make sure it was. So don't worry if you missed this stream. Besides, I didn't really show much close-up work of making this, did I? We were more talking about things rather than showing the process. Near enough is good enough. There you go. Done. Just dropping it to make sure it works. Gravity works. Probably could be a short gladius. Sparta. See you later, Matt. See you, Wiley. We're all done, sir. Yeah, the shoulders are a bit shit. The tang's slightly off center. Blade's relatively straight. Relatively. And it's twisted. I'll have to untwist it before I send it to Metal Man, if he wants it. Not my greatest. But anyway, thank you very much for hanging out. Hope you all have a good day. I'll be back on Twitch very soon, doing some more engraving. I got some more commissions that I need to do. Yeah. yeah, I got a lot more engraving to do. So, anyway, thanks very much. Catch you next time.